My name is Kate Mosse and I'm the author of the novel Labyrinth. The emotional journey, I suppose, from seeing my novel go from the page to the screen has been so far just extraordinary. It feels like one of the most exciting moments of my professional life of all, actually. Almost, not almost more than writing the book, but certainly it has been an incredible thing to see people that I've dreamt about for 20 years in some cases suddenly coming to life and immediately becoming those characters and the actors taking them over. They no longer feel anything to do with me, and it's just wonderful. So everything I see, I'm looking at and I'm going, oh, and it's just the most humbling experience, actually, more than anything else, because you just realise that it's everybody else's creativity that makes a film work, and the partnerships and the teamwork is quite extraordinary, quite extraordinary. One of the things that people have asked quite a lot, Labyrinth, I wrote it in 2004, published in 2005. And people have asked why I waited to have a film version made. And well, there are several answers, but the most important one is that if you really love your book and you enjoyed writing it and readers loved it, you cannot just give it away, if you like. You have to wait for the right combination of people. And what that means is a director who will bring something completely different and new to the story. For actors who will inhabit the characters and be completely, will make them vivant, will make them live, will make them sing. And a screenwriter, and in this case Adrian Hodges, who will be able to take the novel and make it something completely new. Not different, but new, because a book is a book and a film is a film. And so for me, there was, if I'm honest, there were two directors that I had ever in my dream thought I would want involved, sort of the production company rather than the actual directors. And of course, Ridley Scott was one of them. I mean, obviously. And I'm sure there will be one or two readers who will feel sad that certain scenes have been lost, or equally certain scenes have been changed. We couldn't film in Chartres as well, so we filmed a lot of those things in Toulouse. But I think on balance, audiences are sophisticated. People know that a novel is one thing and a good adaptation is itself. It has its own integrity, it has a different beat. And I think that although I'm sure there will be one or two emails, people saying, I can't believe they did that, I think that the readers who love the novel will be really proud of what Adrian has done and will feel that he has done the characters they love justice. One of the questions that I'm often asked is, what does it feel like to see another writer take over your book? I can truthfully say that it hasn't felt like that for me at all. The very first time that I met the screenwriter, Adrian Hodges, he asked such intelligent questions that I felt two things. The first was that whatever happened, I was in safe hands. Labyrinth, the novel, was in safe hands. And the second was, actually, he illuminated my book for me, because the questions he asked made me think about things slightly differently. And I can truthfully say that a couple of the decisions that he has made in his script, his Labyrinth, as opposed to mine, are better. He's improved on certain things. So, for example, I would say that the character of Will, who is the contemporary young man who is the friend of Alice, I think that Adrian has given him just a little bit of something that I felt. So I feel that he's sort of sorted something out for me. So the very first time that John Hurt was on set, we were in the garden of the Hôtel de la Cité in Carcassonne, in the city of Carcassonne, and behind him was the Château Comtal. And if you had jumped off the terrace where we were standing, you would have landed on the roof of our tiny little house that we bought here in 1989. And John Hurt just said, "What else?" And it was just quite extraordinary hearing John Hurt, the John Hurt, say, and the two most plain words, but it felt quite extraordinary for my words to be in his mouth. And I couldn't help myself. I just ran up and threw my arms around him and said, "Thank you so much for doing this, for being Audrey Bayard." And then afterwards I said to the director, Christopher Smith, "I'm really sorry, that was probably just the worst thing to do. And then John Hurt said, no, that was very nice, because it's my first time ever on a film set. It's not just that it's the first time that a book of mine has been made to a film, but I've never been on a film set for anybody else's book. So everything that I'm seeing is new, and everything that I am watching is so impressive. I mean, the professionalism, the hard work. And when you see someone like John Hurt and Janet Sussman, people that you have admired forever, you know, you can't remember a time when you didn't know who they were. And then they're in something that you wrote. It is completely, it's terrible for a writer to say this, but there are not words to describe what it feels like. When we were first talking about going from page to screen, one of the things that I knew was nothing to do with me, it was not my business, as the author of the novel was, but I just had my fingers crossed that the decision would be made to film in the southwest of France, even if it was only for a few days. And I really salute Scott Free and Tandem for doing that, because this is a novel that is about this country. It's about this land. It's about the echoes in the hills and the certain sort of light that you get in the Midi and the clouds. And it's entirely born out of this landscape. And therefore, if we'd not filmed here, it would have just felt so wrong, however beautifully we had made the set. And the set in South Africa is extraordinary. I mean, that is wonderful. One of the most extraordinary things about film, and me as a complete novice to this, of course, is that in order to make something authentic and real on screen, oddly, you have to construct it. So, of course, we're not filming any of the battles and things in Carcassonne, because the streets are too tiny apart from anything else. But I've seen the designs and the set that's being built in Cape Town, and it is quite extraordinary. I see the pictures of the Great Hall of the Chateau Cantal, and it looks as if we're there. It's amazing. And when I saw Audric Bayard's house, which only has ever existed in my imagination, and I looked at it and I thought, yeah, that's the house I pictured. And that is an amazing thing when you see your visual image that you've written down then being translated by a superb designer into something that everybody else can see. It's a wonderful feeling, because it makes you feel that you wrote it right. You wrote it true, because it's possible to make it happen. Today we're shooting in a village called La Grasse, which is some distance from Carcassonne. And we're shooting one of the scenes that is most important in the novel, in that it establishes several things. It establishes the relationship between Alaïs and her father. It establishes the sense of threat and danger that is lurking under the rather beautiful surface that we will have seen before that. And it also shows Alaïs, who is this young girl, behaving like a young daughter, respectful to her father. Her father is a very strong man, but you also see that tiny glint of why she is the hero of the novel. This scene today has had a lot of attention because Adrian Hodges understood how important it was. Christopher Smith, the director, understood how important it was. And what, of course, they don't know is that the third one of my trilogy, called Citadel, this scene is echoed in 1942, and I had written that quite recently, but of course they didn't know that because it matters so much.